Hey, how you doing, everybody? Welcome back. That was George. George, if you saw the first video that George was in, you understand that he's kind of camera shy. He's kind of his own person, if you will. And you know what? Actually, George is the reason for this video. I was kind of hoping he would have sat up here with me, but he chose not to. That's all right. Now, as you know, I've got 5 cats. You also know that I've got, that I've got a lot of political opinions and that I like to talk about those. But this channel, being called In My Head, is not necessarily political in nature. It just has been because, we have an election coming up. But, well, between that and the fact that I have always been just kind of a political person. But this channel is about whatever is in my head. I told you a story a while back about, post-traumatic stress, and in fact the video is called I Don't Believe in PTSD. If you want to go back and take a look at that one. Gives you an explanation as to why I don't believe in PTSD. Post-traumatic stress is real. I just don't believe it's a disorder. But what I'm getting at here, though, is that I've told you some things about myself personally, not nearly as much as you might be interested in knowing, or maybe you don't care. Maybe you don't care about me personally, and that's fine. But this is going to be kind of a personal video. Started off with George. George was the first of the 5 cats that we got, and I think I told this story. It might have been in a video called Animals, or it could have been in one called Catmandu. Maybe even both. But George, we went to our local shelter. My wife wanted to adopt a cat. And while she's looking at all the cats there, because she's never had a male cat before, never had an orange cat before, didn't want an orange male cat, or so she thought. But we were at the shelter, and she's looking at all the cats. I don't know if she's looking for a calico, a tabby, or whatever. Maybe a tortie, or who knows. What's funny is she likes torties and calicos, but we don't have one. We did have a tortie at one point in time, but that's another story for another time. It was my mom's cat that we unfortunately had to rehome. George, I was in one of the rooms, and one of the volunteers brings George in to me. And I'm just kind of hanging out there with him, and he was pretty shy, kind of standoffish, You know how cats can be when they're not familiar with the situation. Or, who are you? What do you want? But I kind of picked up on something with him. Not really sure what it was at the time. I knew that he came in as a stray. I mean, he was about 3 years old at the time. And he came in, he was a stray. And we intentionally went looking for an adult cat. And the reason for that is because, well, everybody wants kittens, right? Not everybody wants an adult cat. Just like if you go looking for a dog, most people want puppies. They don't want the adult dog. Why? Well, we wanted the adult cat because most people didn't. We wanted to kind of help clear the shelter out a little bit, you know? I mean, do our part to help clear it out. So we adopted George. And George, it took him a good couple months before he would come around. He still wouldn't have anything to do with me. And I have my suspicions as to why that is, but I have no proof. I think that he had bad experiences with men in the past. So that could be why he didn't come around to me. But it took him a couple months to come around to my wife. It took him 2 years before he would come around to me. You know, so he's, what, 7 years old now? He was 3 years old when we got him. And I think I know why. We're good buddies now. And I think I know why I relate to him as much as I do. I did a video a while back about homelessness. In fact, that's actually my most watched video. If you haven't seen it, it's called Let's Criminalize Homelessness. So check it out. We got to looking George over, right? And we could see where, you know, he had like different patches that, I mean, it's all covered over with the hair that he has now, but you could see where like different patches had been burned off or whatever. You know, that's from, you know, being out, you know, astray, trying to find wherever you can to get warm. Might find someplace a little bit too hot. For example, maybe a car that was just recently turned off. You know, he tries to crawl up in there to stay warm. Gets a little bit too close to something up there and burns himself. You know, I mean, that's just one example of what might have happened. You know, so he's got spots like that on him. I mean, you can't, again, like with the fur all grown over, you can't see it unless you're looking for it. And you have to actually move the fur around and actually really look under the fur to see it. But we also saw some scars. And one of them looks like somebody actually tried to kill him. You know, like maybe stabbing him or slitting his throat or something like that. And I can kind of relate to George a little bit. In my video about homelessness, I brought up that I had actually been homeless once. And, you know, that's why I've got kind of some compassion for those who are in that situation. It's also why I've got a special spot right here for George over there. And he's, he's a good guy. But, you know, I know what it's like to be down and out. George knows what it's like to be down and out. He was a stray cat, literally speaking. Figuratively speaking, I was a stray cat. I mean, don't know where the next meal's coming from. And don't know what you're you're going to have to do to survive that day. You know, I mean, one advantage that I think I had over George is that I knew that I had my Chevy to sleep in. George probably didn't really know where he was going to sleep that night. I mean, I didn't know where my Chevy was going to be parked, but I knew that I had shelter in that car. And, you know, George probably didn't have that advantage when he was on the street. So, you know, maybe. Maybe George and I were just kind of meant to end up together like that. You know, even though it was my wife who wanted a cat, I didn't really. I mean, I had got nothing against cats, never had anything against cats. I just always preferred that they were someone else's cats, you know? Well, one thing leads to another. We get George. George hates me for a couple of years, and in that couple of years we start fostering kittens, and you've heard this story before. It's in the video Catman Do Like I Told You. Yeah. So, that's why I can relate to George. He's been down and out. I've been down and out. And if you've been down and out, I can relate, I can understand. And that's actually why I try to do what I can to help those who are in that situation. You know? I know what it's like. Maybe I didn't have it as bad as some other people have, but I've been there. And I understand that it's not easy for things to get better, but things can definitely get better. Unfortunately, sometimes that takes a lot of luck. In my case, I had some luck on my side. It's not as simple as pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Some people don't have boots, let alone the straps to pull themselves up. But, you know, this might seem like a little bit of a rambling here. It probably is, and I don't care. But I want you to know who you're dealing with here. You know, I mean, let's do the best that we can to help take care of each other. All right? And if you're a stray cat, hopefully somebody can adopt you and bring you home too. I'll see you next time.